Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to take this moment to acknowledge the presence of the Minister of Education, Arts and Culture of the Republic of Namibia, Ms. Katrina Hanse-Himarwa. Ladies and gentlemen, please give her a round of applause. For making time out, thank you, Minister, for being here at such an important event for us. It shows our government's contribution and commitment towards the cultural and creative sectors and how we intend on prioritizing it and making it a key pillar for national development. I'd also like to acknowledge the Director of Arts and Culture, Arts in the Directorate, Mr. Erwas Mutota. Thank you very much for being here as well. And then obviously Ms. Rosemary Mangope, who's been with us for the last week, who is the chairwoman of Ifacca. The artists in the house, I'd like to acknowledge you two as well. Our speakers who have come here and given us a wealth of knowledge. Also the people who have asked it and interacted. Let's give them a round of applause as well. The media who's also been covering the story, thank you for making time out. We're obviously competing for your time for many things that are happening. So thank you for being here and telling our story to the rest of the world. On that note, we have a very strict agenda. Time is also not on our side. So I'd like to start by calling on Rosemary, because remember what happened this week was there was an African chapter meeting of Ifacca. They obviously met on Monday before the summit started, as well as they met today to then give some of the resolutions or recommendations rather towards the SADC states in terms of what are the key areas and where we can partner to do this work. So to read this endorsement letter on behalf of Ifacca, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call on the chair lady of the African continent for Ifacca, Rosemary Mangope.
Good afternoon, Minister, and it's wonderful to see you here again. I'm going to read out a statement, and I have to read it out word for word, so there's no embezzlement, because this is almost like an intention, but it is, these are the concluding statements that have been done by Ifacca on the Summit of Southern Africa 2018, on the first Arts Summit of Southern Africa 2018. And this is from the members of the Africa chapter of the International Federation of Arts Councils and Culture Agencies, and for short, it's Ifacca. Members of the African chapter of the International Federation of Arts Councils and Culture Agencies, representing Botswana, Malawi, Namibia, Seychelles, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, congratulate Namibia on the success of the first Arts Summit of Southern Africa, which took place from the 20th to the 23rd of August 2018, hosted by the National Arts Council of Namibia in Windhoek. During the Arts Summit, the members present reflected on the agenda and discussions that took place. And in response, the members collectively recognized human creativity as a vital economic, social, and cultural resource that needs to be protected, promoted, and developed. As such, the Ifacca members present endorsed the following principles as expressed by delegates at the Arts Summit of Southern Africa. And I need to hasten to say that we divided this into three categories. So first are the principles, and after the principles, we're going to say the recommendations, and after the recommendations, we're going to say what we agreed on. Okay, so we're going to take it like that. But first, in terms of the principles, the first principle is that creative professionals are pivotal to shape the growth, development, and sustainability of society and make a positive contribution to culture and the economy. The second one is that leadership determines the ability of the creative economy to thrive and is a shared responsibility for people across all levels of government, enterprise, and society. The third one is arts education, and we're saying arts education, including indigenous and traditional knowledge, is foundational to the creative economy. And this particular one came up, Papa, you're listening, and I can see you there. The fourth, the creative economy creates jobs and adds value to other sectors using the talent and skills of creative individuals. It requires a range of resources, including public and private investment, access to finance, skills development, industry-led platforms, and market opportunities. The fifth is the protection of intellectual property is crucial to a fair and sustainable creative economy. Number 6, evidence is critical to policymaking across portfolios and to develop strategies for a thriving creative economy. The 7th, new innovations and technologies provide new solutions to ensure the ongoing global relevance and competitiveness of the region. The last one, which is the 8th, is regional integration via regional and international bodies such as SADC and the African Union are instrumental in developing the creative economy at a national, regional, and international level. So those are the principles. Now coming to the recommendations of the Africa chapter members, the first is that creative professionals should be acknowledged by governments and peoples for their contributions to the economy, society, and cultures. The second, participatory governance should be promoted to ensure that all citizens have the opportunity to lead and play an active role in the creative economy. The third, actors across sectors and government, including culture, tourism, education, trade, economy, and finance, should collaborate to create a robust frameworks and strategies. Number 4, existing financial instruments, including incentives and mechanisms such as tax deductions and match funds, should be extended to the creative industries, and new instruments should be tailored to the needs of the sector. 5, governments and private sector should sustain the commitment to build collective capacity to harness evidence, research, and data. And the 6th one, the culture desk at the Southern African Development Community Secretariat be reinstated and opportunities to establish cooperation with other regional, trans-regional, and international bodies pursued. The 7th, the success of the Arts Summit of Southern Africa 2018 should be regarded as a model for ongoing exchange and collaboration in the region. Then we go to what the members have agreed upon. So the members have agreed to support creative professionals as active contributors to economic growth at a national and regional level, including, for example, through the establishment of regional funding programs. The second, adopt participatory governance practices in their work wherever possible. 3, advocate for arts education and capacity development for the sector. And 4, pursue and collaborate on opportunities to collect, monitor, and share knowledge and data related to the creative economy. 5, collectively explore opportunities to cooperate with other regional, transnational, and international bodies and leverage existing national and regional policies. Number 6, champion the Africa region and the outcomes of the Arts Summit of Southern Africa 2018 at the 8th World Summit on Arts Culture in March 2019 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And the last, commit to build on the success of the Arts Summit of Southern Africa and continue the regional collaboration and exchange started here, including the establishment of digital platforms. Now, this message has been endorsed by the following. From Botswana, Mr. Dean Mulibatsi, who's the Director of Arts and Culture, Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. Malawi, Mr. Humphrey Mpondaminga, Director, Deputy Director, Department of Arts, Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Culture. Namibia, Mr. Patrick Sam, who's the Chair of the National Arts Council. Seychelles, Mr. Jimmy Savvy, who's the CEO of the National Arts Council of Seychelles. South Africa, Ms. Rosemary Mangope, CEO of National Arts Council of South Africa and Chair of the Africa chapter of Ifacca. Zambia, Mr. Adrian Maanka Chipindi, Director, National Arts Council of Zambia. And Zimbabwe, Mr. Nicholas Moyo, who's the Director of the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe. In the meeting, we also had affiliate government members from Namibia, Ms. Mkariko Amagulu, Deputy Director, Directorate of Arts, Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture. From Seychelles, we had Ms. Cindy Moka, Senior Project Officer, Seychelles Heritage Foundation. From Zambia, Ms. Monde Gwaba, Director, Department of Arts and Culture, Ministry of Tourism and Arts. Now, the signatures are all here. And as the final endorsement, I will now attach my signature. Thank you. Patrick, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Rosemary, for that, but also for your contribution throughout the week. A lot of people are like, when I grow up, I want to be like Rosemary. I've heard that throughout the time. So ladies and gentlemen, please give her another round of applause. Honourable Minister, just to bring you up to speed, we had divided into 4 groups to look at what are the tangible resolutions that we would like to then give over to your office to obviously lead the charge of the Office of the Presidency as we are the new chairman of SADC and using you as our champion because we know you're passionate about this industry and you would not leave your art or your culture behind for anything. So I'm going to then now call up the various moderators in each session to provide the resolutions that came out of each session. In my section, the first group was called SADC Creative Economy, legislation as well as policy resolutions. And we were supposed to come up with 3 resolutions, but since the topic is so wide and varied in terms of policy and legislation, we have come up with 5 recommendations in our subsection. The first one is to introduce a protocol on the creative economy to be mainstreamed in the SADC trade and industrialization strategy to strengthen the institutional capacity of SADC Secretariat to create opportunities that empower youth and other marginalized groups. To conduct research to establish evidence of the current state of the creative economy and to measure the value of the creative economy to enhance outreach activities at national and regional levels. Okay, number 2. Number 3, to improve investment or funding opportunities for the creative economy through enhancing alternative funding sources like a SADC Art or Culture Fund, a national lottery, or other, in brackets, international, regional, or national funding. Number 4, create a mandatory platform for ministers responsible for the creative economy to meet during the SADC Heads of State Summits to discuss the prioritization of the creative economy to national development and regional integration. Encourage collaboration and partnerships between member states through opening up markets for artists and eliminate barriers of entry at a regional level. Okay? And I think it says, the last part says there, using also using digital platforms, or through the use of digital platforms. So the idea there is to eliminate barriers of entry, so looking at issues of visas, free trade, and how do we then allow for partnerships. So a lot of people are talking about festivals. There's also an idea of starting a SADC calendar where you can go and see what's happening in the region, and that all falls part of that.
These are the recommendations of the arts education. It is noted that arts education resources in the region and within country is unknown by both arts enablers and arts drivers. Therefore, it is resolved that mapping of arts resources must be advocated by the SADC chair and be implemented at national level by arts councils and line ministries. It is further noted that arts education is not regarded important in formal education at primary and secondary levels, therefore non-promotional and absent, respectively. It is resolved that the formal education be restructured to integrate arts as a key subject in curriculum. Thirdly, it is further resolved that human resource development in arts educators be advocated for by the SADC chair and implemented by tertiary institutions and line ministries with focus on teacher training, exchanges of lecturers between tertiary institutions within SADC, and scholarship provision. And the last resolution. It is resolved that tertiary institutions in the field of arts decentralize arts education programs to regions, states, provinces in the countries that have not, and improve the pace of implementation in those that have policy. I thank you.
Okay, moving on to the third. Encouraging and developing regional integration and cooperation. Mr. Moyo, who's your rapporteur?
I hope everyone can see to some extent. But they are going to be put up. Right, so when we did it, we came up with our 3 resolutions under the 3 common themes that we saw after a brainstorming session. So the first resolution, you'll find that it's this one. The first one is to establish a common cultural fund across SADC, coming from the theme of funding. So we need a common cultural fund for every nation in SADC. After we establish this will then help the second resolution of having a creative industry research within and for the region. So when we say within and for the region, we mean that the research will happen in all the countries in SADC, and then the information will be disseminated to everybody. Because I think there was that statement, knowledge is nothing if it's not used. You can know, but if you don't use the knowledge, then it's useless. And then the third and final resolution was that we need to lobby for the SADC Cultural Desk to function. We really need it because that would help this coordination of the national agencies. So the national agencies, they are in place except for a few countries who we have encouraged to have one. But once we have this SADC Cultural Desk functioning, anything that we do regionally can go to this desk and we can be assured that it can be heard in the SADC summit.
Private sector involvement, we need to share the responsibility, and we want to see what are we obligating private sector's involvement.
So a few recommendations. One would be harmonizing business regulations for creative enterprises by creating a one-stop shop for creative business tools and licensing, and tax incentives and levies. Just again, we looked at the different components that make up the private sector. So the next one would be for financing, to create a progressive framework that reduces risk and encourages commercial investment for creative enterprises by creating a public-private partnership investment fund that supports the production of creative works, by providing working capital, short-term financing, and project financing. Okay. Then the next main point would be skills development. So looking at an industry-focused training curriculum, supporting creative industries to offer paid internships as part of on-the-job training, and a public-private partnership in terms of awarding distinctions and bursaries to promote creative excellence.
Okay, can we have a show of hand if we endorse these private sector involvement resolutions? The House has endorsed all your resolutions. Thank you very, very much. I thought we'd be stuck here till tomorrow. But it shows also that we've learned a lot and we have a lot of common ground now. And we also understand, and I think when we do have that common ground and that knowledge, it fast tracks the process. So the learning never stops. And in my opening speech, I did mention the idea of learning and living. I've learned quite a bit. Let's go out there and live, but let the learning continue. There's a lot of access in terms of, we live in the information age, so let's not stop. Sometimes we have obsolete knowledge. It's not relevant anymore, and we are still carrying on with it. So that's just, I think, testament, Honourable Minister, to how much we've learned, that we could actually agree on how many resolutions, I think 15 at least, within a 45-minute gap. I don't think that even happens at cabinet level. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, can we please rise and welcome at this time our keynote address in the closing ceremony. This is the Minister of Education, Arts and Culture, Honourable Katrina Hanse-Himarwa.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be seated. Quite exciting and interesting. I wish I had a lot of time to join you throughout, but the short part I sit in and listen, especially to the parts of your resolutions. It's quite exciting, interesting. I was like, wow. The creative industry is pulling up, getting organized, and it's taking shape and direction, at least from the perspective of Namibia. Having said that, the representatives of the International Federation of Arts Council and Culture Agencies, all the brilliant presenters, as I have been briefed by my senior staff members who have been present right from the onset, including our Vice President of the Republic of Namibia. I received a briefing yesterday. The Vice President was at my office. He walked down all the way to my office. And he was very excited and happy that he could attend the gala dinner. Very excited and very impressed and very, very supportive of the initiatives. Also, the panelists, all delegates, the SADC counterparts, creatives, the ministerial colleagues, media present. First and foremost, I would like to apologize as you couldn't see me, as I've indicated already, when you kicked off, also at your gala dinner. I'm very passionate about arts and culture, but it's because of unforeseeable circumstances that I couldn't join you. But at least I'm very, very pleased that our Vice President has joined you, and I'm told he stayed with you. Unlike protocol dictates that you should stay only for this hours, he has disobeyed to the protocol this time around, and I love him for that, because I'm also one of those ones that sometimes out of protocol. So it is my esteemed honor, really, to have been given this opportunity by His Excellency the President to head the ministry that deals with arts and culture, but also with education at the time when new ideas and methods for the continent are being constructed and implemented. A time in which we as Africans are charting our futures, especially when it comes to contemporary interventions that focus on enhancing creative skills being brought to the fore. Also to offer opportunities to grow the creative sector. So never before have the talks of the African Renaissance seemed more real, exciting, and tangible. Now, for 3 days, you have heard presentations ranging from the healthy ecology of creative professionals, the importance of the creative economy for national development and regional integration, the role of arts education opportunities in funding mechanisms to develop and grow the creative industries. I've been informed, as I've indicated earlier, by some of my senior staff, including one of the top leadership in the country, that the summit was well received and well attended. And I can see also we are at the closure of the summit, and you are still in full, 3/4 of, I guess, of the numbers that has been in the first day are still here. Now, additionally, participation of delegates was positive, I'm told, and this platform was learning experience for many of us. This initiative has been a welcome for me in the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, as I believe that the resolutions that came out of this will lead to greater initiatives in Namibia and Southern Africa. Now, initiatives that will propel more dialogue, action plans, and the implementation thereof. The results from ASA will allow us to realize the intracontinental mobility, exchange, networking, and trade opportunities for our products and services to strengthen the creative economy at the national, regional, and continental levels. Indeed, Namibia, like many African countries, including those in SADC, are signatory to various international and legal instruments, such as the UNESCO conventions on the 2003 Intangible Cultural Heritage, the 1972 World and Natural Heritage, the 2001 Underwater Cultural Heritage, and in particular, the protection and promotion of diversity of cultural heritage of 2005, which is bearing on the theme of this summit, and I quote, "Human creativity is vital for economic, social, and cultural resource." It is a vital economic, social, and cultural resource, end of quote. Now, the creative industries promote human development in areas that deal with overcoming poverty, ensuring that we deal with our identity as Africans, and ensuring that society is progressive by eliminating threats in our society, such as violence, especially towards women and children. All these efforts are targeted at people, and we as people need to make more considered efforts in collectively ensuring our own well-being. Namibia's obligation to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the African Union's Agenda 2063 and the SADC Protocol on Arts and Culture seeks to strengthen and develop African solutions. And the cultural sector is the foundation. So the building blocks for the creative industries and the creative economy need to be prioritized for our nations, regions, and ultimately for the whole continent to thrive. Now, the recognition of human rights and human dignity that are enshrined in the Namibian Constitution are issues that must be highlighted and taken seriously because human dignity must be assured. Namibia takes all these instruments seriously. So much so that arts and culture is highlighted in our National Development Plan, the NDP5, as having an important role in our economy, with the potential to grow employment, create income generation for our people, and therefore improve livelihoods of people. And I must add, after having been visiting Malta, I came back as a very, very excited and, filled up, fired up Minister of Arts and Culture. And that's how I ensured that these parts of arts and culture is incorporated in our National Development Plan 5. Director of Ceremonies, ladies and gentlemen, for too long, a lot of these tools have been regarded as just waste paper. But through the realization of this summit, we are all committing to realize them. Now, to turn what is thought of as a pipe dream into reality. The time is now for us to give impetus to these documents, to really build a lasting impact on the livelihoods of people in the region, to ensure that the creative economy provides access and opportunity for citizens in the region and the continent, so that the future of our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and is anchored in valuing the significance of creativity. Therefore, following this, we have the responsibility to recognize people as creative beings. The potential that lies in our people is intrinsic. It's a God-given gift of a myriad of talents, and these attributes must be acknowledged and celebrated. Finding creative solutions to flourish and develop our nations, region, and continent is a goal we must commit to and collectively pursue. We need to continue focusing on our natural and acquired creative skills to grow the creative industry and the economy at large. Furthermore, it is said that creativity breeds innovation for lasting solutions. Currently, our economies are largely embedded in the extractive sectors, such as mining and fishing, which are fields that we can add greater value to through creativity. Now, creative skills will remain a sustainable, vital, cultural, social, and economic resource for our people, offering opportunities beyond our imagination and to the development of our people, nations, region, and continent. And I keep on saying, Namibia has got what it takes. For example, if I take it from the perspective of my own country, to develop the creative industry in a force that can contribute to the GDP of this country. We have got that potential. But that cannot happen by itself. It can only happen through the political will and the commitment. And that's why I'm impressed by the resolutions. That are resolutions for your summit, but recommendations to the SADC platform. So creatives should intentionally create to add value to their products and services, and therefore have to put in the effort and work to make the change and innovate new ideas that will transcend current situations, to build lasting creative solutions for our societies for their own benefit, the benefit of their families, communities, societies, nations, regions, and of course the continent at large. Artists are naturally concerned about the human conditions, and they show us what is beautiful about life so that we propel our societies for the future. And here some of them are sitting. I'm seeing our musicians, turning the life stories into beautiful music, sounds, lyrics. Others through paintings and drawings. You are making life beautiful for us. Not because it's all the time beautiful, but through your talent and through your skills. Therefore, complaining will not take us anywhere. Looking backward will just hold us back, and this does not mean that we have forget where we are coming from. But we need to look into the future to make a difference for the youth, as opportunities for many young people are limited, opportunities that need to be extended, especially to women, indigenous communities, and of people living with disabilities. The Namibian government, therefore, supports the ASA initiative wholeheartedly and is pushing, for the realization of an integrated region that will pull together to realize the creative industry through creating the necessary conducive environment for a thriving creative industry that transcends national, regional borders. Now, as our president takes over the chairmanship of SADC, the creative economy is an agenda point that we will bring to the forefront. And I'm happy you ask a platform for the ministers that are responsible for arts and culture to be mandatory at SADC. You have got my support. The creative economy is able to provide solutions to the youth unemployment problem, whilst at the same time rehumanizing young people by dignifying their lives. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, this will not be without work, but not just work, hard, tireless work. It will require strong and driven leadership, purpose-driven leadership, relationship building, collaboration, and partnerships between the public and private sector and civil society to achieve this dream. It will require the contribution of all these sectors to pull together, to truly grab this opportunity to shape our future. And sometimes I'm saying, arts and culture is with us all the time. And many a times, we don't even know that we have got the skills and talent in arts and culture. Sometimes we are practicing, and we don't even know that what we are practicing is arts and culture that has got the potential to contribute to a GDP. And that awareness is very important. When I appointed Patrick Sam, I gave him stern, tall instructions in terms of going out there, not sitting in the offices, but reaching out, sensitizing people who do art, but who do not know that they are doing art, and who do not know that they can make a living out of art. Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the International Federation of Arts Council and Culture Agencies, the Ifacca, for collaborating with Namibia in making this a momentous occasion of learning, networking, and setting the way forward to charter the winds of change in the SADC region. And we are excited because we are the chair of SADC, and we are hoping for good things to come out. Additionally, I want to take the time to thank our presenters, as I have been briefed, wonderful presentations, wonderful discussions by the panelists, of whom most have traveled long distances to share their wealth of knowledge. Our guests from SADC region, thank you for committing to this summit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Other delegates that have seen the importance of participating and being part of this occasion. Somebody said the office of the vice president, and I'm saying the vice president himself. It's rare in some other countries to reach the number 2 or the number 1 in a country to grace and bless this occasion. It does happen. in Namibia. Also, our National Arts Council and the Public Relations Box team for carrying out this task so effectively and efficiently. Last but not least, our creatives, our artists who shown up and participated throughout the summit. Take the knowledge gained, and as the chairman, our young and vibrant one of the Arts Council, as talkative as he is, keep saying, and I quote him, if we want things that we have never had, we have to do things we have never done before, end of quote. Thank you, Chairman, for the leadership that you have been providing throughout and that you are getting the instructions meticulously. I'm watching you with an eagle eye. And so far, so good. And I hope Namibia has shown how it can be done, and we shall do it in that fashion around Africa, around SADC. To all our guests, I wish you safe travel back home, and let's continue building on the relationships and make sure that our resolutions, which are the recommendations to the upper levels, are implemented through ASA 2018, but also through our political office bearers that are kind-hearted and that it was got ears for us and are passionate about what we are doing. Thank you so much for this beautiful summit, and we love you.